Hey everyone, today I have a very special interview for you. I am here with the lovely Sandra McLemore, and she is going to share all about how using personal brand photography has grown her business. She's not a photographer, or are you a photographer?
No,
Okay, I
no.
thought I saw some on your, just making sure, I'm like, wait a minute.
No, I'm getting better, but I know to hire professionals when I need to hire professionals. So no,
Yeah,
I'm not a photographer.
should have probably asked that before I was rolling. But I'm going to just let her start by sharing what her business really is. And we're going to talk to how having personal brand photography in her business has changed everything. So Sandra, with that, could you tell people what you do?
Yes. So I am known as two things, depending on whether you know me from corporate world or you know me from my brand now. So I worked for 20 years in the corporate travel industry. I started as a retail travel agent back when travel agents were like, that was the only way that you could book flights. You would go into a travel agent and you would sit across from someone like me, and I would book your flights, book your train passes, book your Kentucky tours through Europe, your travel insurance. And I moved over the 20 years from working in a travel agency to working in marketing, strategic marketing for the biggest travel brands in the world, like the biggest cruise lines in the world, airline loyalty programs. And then I found myself on travel TV. I was mentored by the amazing Anthony Bourdain, and I traveled with him. And I have hosted travel. Yeah, I've hosted travel programming now for the last 10 years. So if you have taken a cruise on Royal Caribbean, if you've taken a cruise, if you've taken a flight on several European airlines, you'll know me as the travel girl on the television. So that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, is working in the travel industry. And then a few years ago, I fell in love with a boy in California, a man in California, and I realized that I really wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids, but this whole 21 days traveling and 12 days home was never going to cut it. And that was my life. That was my career that I knew. So I decided to start my own business. I'd been dabbling a little bit in my own business, but I thought, what am I going to do? I'm a travel girl, I'm a TV girl, and I love marketing and I like strategy. I'm all about numbers and all about like quantifying and measuring things. So I decided to start a marketing agency, which has now turned into two, but the primary marketing agency is helping travel brands to get more traffic. So new clients nonstop. That's what we focus on. So we focus on everything from like their marketing funnel, having great lead magnets, list building, but it's specifically for the travel industry because that's my jam, right? That's what I know. Mm-hmm. So I would say that we have probably in the last 3 years worked with around 12,000 travel brands and travel agents around the world. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing because it's my passion. Travel is my passion, on camera and off camera. And business growth is another passion as well. So to be able to combine the two things that I love is great. I still do a lot of television. So you'll see me do the travel segments on Daily Mail TV, which is broadcast all around the world, and some news programming and stuff like that. So I work in my industry while I have a business in my industry, which I think is great because I'm one foot in both.
Mm-hmm. So tell me how it is that you contacted me and reached out because you said that your photos, your personal brand photos, have made a huge difference to your business.
Oh.
So can you walk me through like the decision to hire a professional instead of doing it yourself, and then what happened?
Yeah, so it came about accidentally. I would love to say that I planned it all out and I had my goal and I smashed my goal, but that's not really how everything works for me. Sometimes I accidentally fall into situations, and I think it's about being able to look at it and say, well, I'm going to roll with this. So about 3 years ago, I was taking a trip with my then boyfriend to Europe, and we were flying to Bulgaria to meet with my parents who were there on a business vacation trip. And my husband is from Texas, and so he's really old school, and he wanted to ask my parents in person. I told him, well, my parents are traveling right now. They're in Bulgaria. He said, well, we're going to fly to Bulgaria. So we got on a plane from LA to Bulgaria, and on the way back, we stopped in Paris. I knew that I wanted to have great travel shots taken because at the time I thought, well, I can use those travel shots on Instagram, on my website, and maybe I'll get more bookings for television. I was already running my business, but it hadn't even clicked with me. The light bulb hadn't gone off yet, showing me that I can use these pictures for my business. Because at that time, not only did I not think that I could use them for my business, it hadn't occurred to me. I had no idea the impact that it was going to have. So we go to Europe. He asked my dad. My dad says yes. My mom says yes. We go to Paris. We're super excited. He proposes to me in the middle of my photo shoot in Paris.
Aww.
And I was photographed by Fran Bologna, who's a super famous award-winning photographer in Paris. And he was doing my photo shoot for my travel brand, and Anthony had written this little text message on his phone and shown it to the photographer and said, I want to propose. And the photographer said, after her shoot, not during, she'll stop working. And so at the end of my shoot, Anthony got down on one knee, and it was actually the engagement photo that went viral because it was on the Alexander III Bridge, which many of you probably don't know by name, but if you saw the picture, you would be like, oh, I know that. Iconically Paris. Fran posted the photo, it went viral. Anthony made the engagement announcement, went viral. And it just showed me the power of a really strong photograph. You didn't need to be there to hear it. You didn't even need the post that Anthony made to explain what happened in that moment. It was the power of a really strong photograph. So that was my second favorite photograph to come out of that shoot, because what ended up being my favorite photograph is the one of me, and I'll give you some links later where you can check them out, but you'll see that it's the one that I use as my hero image on every single piece of branding. So it's on every flyer, every pull-up banner, every magazine article, everything that I use this one picture. And I had this amazing blue coat that I bought at the last minute from Macy's, and I have this white piece of luggage for a brand that I was a brand ambassador for at the time, still am, and I was walking across the street in Trocadero, Paris, and I was looking slightly to the side. It looks super model-esque, and I'm not a model, clearly not a model. Actually, I really struggle in front of the still photo camera to know what to do. Like when the photographer says, do sexy, I do like...
That's me too.
So you have to know that I'm not someone who gets in front of a camera and knows exactly what to do, but my pictures make it look like that. And he just said to me, the proposal hadn't happened at this stage. I was just excited to be there. And he said, pull your suitcase, walk across the street. He gave me a bit of direction on how to walk so I didn't look like penguin kind of. And he said, look out to the side. And I was just thinking about walking left, right, left. I was actually thinking, don't fall, don't mess it up. And this shot became the most iconic shot in my branding. Like I said, I use it on everything now. And I walked away from that particular photo shoot. I think I'd paid, it was a little bit more expensive because I picked a really high-end photographer, but I paid like maybe $1,000 for 2 hours. And what I walked away with increased my profits by at least 10 times within a year, maybe a year and a half even, because what I had essentially done that I didn't realize in the moment was I had started to create a visual brand that told a story about who I was and what I knew without people even talking to me. Because here's the thing, at the time I had like 16, 17 years of travel industry experience, and I worked up to VP level. Like I had incredible jobs. I had a job in the cruise line industry where I was responsible for all of the onboard revenue of every single cruise ship in that fleet around the world. And I would get up every morning and I would analyze numbers and I'd throw out strategies and everybody would react and the numbers would change. It was really exhilarating. But it's really hard when you want to do an elevator pitch or I want to land a new client to tell them I've got all this experience without making it the Sandra show. So what photography has done for me, that photo shoot has allowed me to be able to put just images out there that essentially told the story, because you can't not look at that picture, that one iconic picture, and think, well, she knows what she's doing. She's a travel girl. She knows exactly what she's doing. She looks confident. She looks passionate about what she does. And all of that comes from just a picture. So after that photo shoot in Paris, I came home and I must have had like maybe, I think we bought all of the imagery because it was part of the package. Every photographer is different, of course, but it was part of the package to buy all of the imagery. And then we picked some that they edited for us. And I just came home, and to this day, I still have hundreds of pictures that I haven't even posted from that shoot. And I've created essentially a catalog of imagery. And that led me then to book a professional photo shoot in every city that I go to. So since then, we've had a professional shoot in Bali. We've had one in the Middle East. We've had one in Rome. We've had one here in LA. And we just continue to do it because even if I wasn't in travel, I can just see now that having those professional images just speaks volumes to your brand. Like, I'm the biggest fan. It just really helped me to be able to build a brand. I didn't have to think about what are my brand colors. I didn't have to think about logos. In fact, those things I don't even care about. I think I've switched colors 20,000 times. And I don't even have a logo for my personal brand. I just write my name because the pictures say everything.
That's amazing. So tell me, when you are looking for a photographer, what are you looking for? What's really important to you?
The most important thing, there are two things. The first thing is that they are confident and able to be able to photograph my skin tone in the light that they're given. So obviously I will work with a photographer. Like in Rome, the photographer told me, you need to be at the Trevi Fountain at 6. And I said, great, we'll have an early dinner and then we'll come over. And she said, no, baby, 6 a.m. because I want the morning light. And I was like, oh, I'm not a morning person. But I'll work with a photographer. If the photographer tells me when the golden light is or when the morning light, I don't know what they are. The lighting is important to me. Secondly, you'll see on my Instagram that my husband is a beautiful darker shade of chocolate. So it's really important to me with lighting that they are able to make him look warm, but they don't blow me out. So lighting is definitely something I always look in a folio to make sure that they photograph people in different skin tones because it's super important. And then the second thing I think, which is the most important thing, because you can't change this in post-production, you can't edit this in. It's lighting you can maybe mess with in the editing, but the most important thing is that they understand my needs for photographs as an entrepreneur. Because it's different to going to a photo shoot like for a wedding or different for a birthday photo shoot or, you know, like school pictures or corporate headshots. I'm not a headshot kind of girl. I don't want that kind of, you know, like behind in front of a white wall headshot. I really want pictures that speak to the fact that I'm an entrepreneur and that allow me to be able to be creative afterwards. So a good example is I want most of my pictures done in landscape mode, sideways, as opposed to portrait mode. And then I want a bunch of pictures where there's space on the side of the picture. I don't want to be centered in all of my pictures. I want to be off to the left, you know, to the third or even to the quarter if I want to make sure that I've got a lot of space for text. And so for me, a really good photographer for what I need is someone who understands this could be a great website shot. These could be great hero shots. Here's another set that are great Instagram shots. So it's the purpose. And then on top of that, I would say being able to capture my personality, because I am awkward in front of a photographer.
I feel the same way.
I'm so awkward, so awkward. I was saying to you before, I think we were off camera before, and I was saying, I remember one time they asked me to, a photographer said, can you do sexy? And I said, and that's what it looked like. I was so embarrassed because I did see the pictures afterwards and I was dying. So for them to be able to make me feel comfortable, I'm not a supermodel. I have a little double chin. I'm pregnant right now, so my face is a little fuller. And I just want a photographer that brings out the best in me, that knows that my favorite angle is front on, that knows that the half laugh instead of the smile is a better look for me. So someone who can naturally pull that out. And it's hard to find, but when you find it, you realize what an incredible gift it is for a photographer to have that.
So out of curiosity, how much does price make a difference in your decision for hiring a photographer?
I will be honest with you. In the beginning, it was everything, because when you're starting up, I'm not rich by any stretch, but now that my business does well, I have more resources. So I really try and book the best photographer to fit my needs now. Whereas when I was first starting out, it was the best photographer that I could afford. So price definitely drove me in the beginning. When you're trying to choose between, you know, your course platforms and your email marketing platforms and your photographs and all of these things, you can't do everything at once. So I really encourage people to put photography at the top of their list, because there are other things that you can do, like makeshift versions of. You can piecemeal things together, you know. But when it comes to photography, you can't really piecemeal your photographs together. So price now isn't such a concern, but in the beginning it very much was, yeah.
So you're willing to pay, now that you have the income, you're willing to pay more to get the photographer that you really want and feel comfortable with?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also willing to pay for the inclusions in the photography as well, because it's not as black and white as just turning up and having pictures taken and getting a set number of pictures. I like the flexibility and the freedom to be able to use pictures in whatever way I want to not have to, what's really important for me is to not have my pictures watermarked. That's still an old trend.
I know.
I don't know why photographers do it.
I know.
But I don't want Jamie Photography written across my
Oh,
face.
no. No, and I tell them that. I'm like, do not ever watermark your photo. Like, there's like 5 big things that happen in the traditional photography market that I'm like, you can't do this. It will turn everyone away. Like, you can't require them to credit you if they're running a Facebook ad.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I don't want to have to credit you because I used you all over my website. I don't want to have to, to tag you in every Instagram post because it's not about you. I want to pay you for the services and pay you for your talent. And then I want you to give me what I paid for. And I've had, I've had a lot of these conversations with photographers where they said, well, this is my livelihood. And I said, yeah, and this is mine. So do you quote Canon for the camera that you bought? Do you tag Canon because you have a Canon? And they're like, well, no, of course not. I bought my camera. I own it. I'm like, well, I own my image. So it's that whole thing of like ownership of image and how I use it. That's actually the biggest deal for me when I go to partner with a photographer. Super, super important.
Mm-hmm. No, that is great. So, how much, I mean, you are obviously rocking your personal brand really well. How much does photo play into it? Like, is this something you recommend to other people who are building a personal brand, or do you feel like maybe, it's specific to the travel industry, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you asked that. So although I work mostly with travel professionals, the second marketing agency that I opened is just for business owners in general. So anyone, we call it new clients nonstop. It's just people who really want to engage with their, create and implement a really strong marketing funnel. At the top of your funnel is your social media or your speaking engagement circuit. All of those need photography. So it's not specific to travel. Travel agents are lucky because one day they're in Paris, the next day they're in Africa. They're very lucky. They can do great shoots. But I believe, like, if you're looking at your marketing funnel at the top and whether or not it's social media, Facebook ads, speaking engagements, whatever it is that you're doing that's bringing you this abundance of traffic and eyes, the number one asset behind the top of that funnel is your photography. So I really think that, like I said, there are other things in your business that you can kind of piecemeal together, but your photography, I believe, if your pre-launch is important, if your rebranding is important, if you haven't done it, stop and do it. Because here's the thing, Jamie, the biggest with travel, especially, but this will speak to your own business no matter what industry you're in or what industry you're photographing if you're a photographer. People spend a lot of money with businesses. And with travel in particular, it's the 3rd biggest or 4th biggest investment that people will make in their whole life. So if you add up the total amount of travel that you've done, Jamie, you have 6 kids, your trips are not cheap. Even if you try to make cheap trips, cheap times 6 is no longer cheap.
Right.
There's no such thing as cheap times 6 equals cheap. It just doesn't work like that. You're a family of 8, right? So even if you're doing an affordable vacation, travel is one of the biggest things that people will spend their money on outside of weddings, houses, and college. But I actually think that many people who are avid travelers out-travel a college debt amount. So I say to my clients, if you want people to buy from you and to spend more than a couple of $100s with you, know one thing. People are not going to buy from you unless they know you, they like you, and they trust you. And I see these businesses online of all different kinds of professions. I see everyone from dog walkers and nannies to business coaches, all kinds of I was looking at a lady the other day who's she's like a Mary Poppins baby sleep training coach. So I'm obsessed with her right now, obviously. But all of these brands, it doesn't matter how much they're charging. I don't want to leave my dog with you. I don't want you to teach my baby how to sleep. I don't want you to come in and paint my walls if I don't know you, if I don't like you, and if I don't trust you. And the 2 fastest ways to build know, like, and trust is to put yourself in front of them in either photographs or video. And for that reason alone, if you stop and think to yourself, in my business, do I want people to trust me enough to give me their money? Then you have to say to yourself, well, then I need to be respectful back to that process and invest the money to show that know, like, and trust. It's so important.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So do you feel like the demand, since you run at marketing agencies and you work with thousands of clients?
Thousands.
So do you feel like the demand for something like personal brand photography is growing, or has it kind of reached its limit, or how do you see the demand for that?
I think that there is a gap in the market right now for photographers who specialize in photographing entrepreneurs and business services and products. And the reason that I say that is because when we got married, there was an abundance of wedding photographers. There was and like you go to their websites and they'd say, oh, we also do birthdays and corporate events. Or there's an abundance of like corporate photographers or real estate photographers or all these different niches. But they seem to be, especially with the wedding photographers, they seem to be like a one and done. So I always thought to myself, wow, they're working so hard to attract new clients, but they don't maintain their clients. And to me, it feels like a waste because you work so hard to get this client and then you don't keep them. If I was a photographer, I would photograph entrepreneurs because here's the thing. Although I do my photo shoots all in different places around the world, I continuously need photo shoots right here at home. And I would love to have a photographer that I would continuously work with. I know thousands of business owners. We have 12,000 business owners who purchase our services. We have 20,000 business owners in our Facebook group, and I'm always begging of them to do photo shoots for their businesses. So I think there's a gap in the market right now, and that gap is caused by photographers not realizing that it is a huge opportunity, but then not taking the action to learn the difference between entrepreneurial photography and regular photography. Because if you photograph me like my wedding photographs, it's not going to work. My wedding photographs, whilst they were candid and they were beautiful and I loved my photographer, it's a different style of photography that I need in order to build that know, like, and trust factor with my audience.
I know people watching this who've been following me are like, did you just set her up to say all these things? Because you're like, saying all the stuff that I'm trying to teach them. We did not have a single conversation before this. This is all like,
we've never met.
I know.
We did not rehearse anything. And I actually am gonna be really honest and say that I've never watched any of your videos.
Well, no, that's fine. You're not a photographer. Why would you?
Well, you and I, this is how we met. You and I were in a Facebook group together because we're taking a course together. And so we just happened to be in the same group and you made a post and I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So I messaged you. So no, definitely. If these are all your thoughts that I'm talking about and this is your philosophy, then I can only validate it by saying that I literally have a course on how to create your personal brand for travel entrepreneurs. And the biggest overarching theme is photography. And so I just, like, if you're a photographer and you're watching this, I really encourage you to think about how much it costs you to attract each new client that comes in, because you might say to yourself, well, I make $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 or $10,000 for a wedding. You know, I would need 10 entrepreneurial clients or 20 entrepreneurial clients to do quick shoots. But your wedding clients, unless they do it really wrong, are not repeat clients. And I don't know, I've seen some of the photographers I've worked with, they've just been starting out in entrepreneurial things. And I want to like shake them and give them like a coaching session right then and there. My husband has to hold me back. He's like, don't coach them. Don't try to make them change their business model. But I want to say to them, those quick 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour shoots that you do where you go and do those for entrepreneurs, they're really powerful. One idea that I've always wanted to do, you can tell your people to do this, they can have it free.
You're telling them right now.
Well, okay. I've always said, like, if you feel that clients that you're not making enough from one session, one thing that I'm going to be doing with my friends soon here in Los Angeles, who are also entrepreneurs, is we're doing a group shoot where we pose as each other's clients. So I would love to have some shots of me teaching in some intimate live event scenarios. So I've gathered up 10 other entrepreneurs that live in my building, and we're going to book a photographer for an entire 2 days, because that photographer is going to come in and do everybody's new headshots, cool headshots, not lame ones, do everybody's new headshots, everybody's new lifestyle pics. We've got a bunch of places in our area. Then I'm going to get up and teach, and someone else is going to get up and teach. I know one lady does like one-on-one, another lady's a makeup artist, so he's going to get shots doing that. We've been able to hire a photographer on a full 2-day rate, and so he's suddenly gotten 10 people in 2 days. But then I know that those people, if he does a good job, are going to book him afterwards. So there's lots of creative ways that you can photograph entrepreneurs. You can Here's another one for free, Jamie. You can go to conferences that you know that entrepreneurs go to, and you can have a trade show booth. You can give a keynote presentation if you're a good speaker on the power of photography in your brand. You can partner with a conference to offer pre and post photograph sessions. Oh my gosh, Jamie, I went to a conference this 2 weeks ago, and it was 500 women of color, the most powerful and influential and most incredible women. And there was a photographer there who did she put it in the program as like a workshop, but you had to book in time slots with her, and they were legit 30-minute time slots. And when I turned up to the room, she had this table spread of like 50 amazing statement necklaces, because we were all women, so she could do that. And then she had some posing guides. And then she would take you downstairs in the hotel, because we're in a nice hotel, and she would photograph you just for 10 or 15 minutes. And that was people's entry into being photographed for their business for the first time. But she was so smart. She knew exactly what kind of shots she was taking, because she knew how they were going to use them, because she does entrepreneurial photography. So you don't also have to do client to client. You can start looking and opening yourself up to the masses. If you can do public speaking, if you can partner with events, if you can find groups on meetup.com of entrepreneurs, there's so many different ways that you can break into entrepreneurial photography. But the biggest mistake that you can make is thinking it's not worth it.
Yeah. And honestly, last month, the second week in May, I did the exact same as you. I had me and 7 other entrepreneurs. We were meeting together for a mastermind for 3 days. The day before we came in, we hired a photographer for her day rate, and we did the exact same thing that you're talking about. And the people who weren't there a day early, who saw all our photos, because she was smart and sent us peeks like during our thing, so we're all like on our phones sharing photos, and like everyone's like, oh my gosh, let's do this again in October when we meet. And there's one person who lives there locally, he's like, I'm definitely hiring her again. And like it's such a smart thing to do. So I love that
so powerful. And now, like, my husband is, for those people who know me from my travel work, you'll sometimes see my husband in things as well, because he's cute, so I like to put him on camera. But he is an award-winning TV producer and director, and we travel so much now. He travels with me on business, on my speaking circuits, but we also get photographed a lot for a lot of travel brands, for cruise lines and luggage lines. And so he started to get into being in my photo shoots, and with the baby coming, I just was so excited. I was like, we got to book a photography shoot for the pregnancy. And I'm not checking like, the typical maternity shots, like flowy gowns, belly out. I'm not trying to, nobody needs to see my belly right now, but I'm talking about if I'm giving travel advice on how to now travel pregnant, or how to travel, because I've learned so much flying pregnant. I did 36 hours of flying in 1 week last month, and like I'm 5 months pregnant. So if I want to start including that kind of content with our web show that we're starting, well, then I really need to be able to document this part of my life, because this will probably be the only time that I can get these pictures. So we really plan forward as well with our business and with our brand. We'll launch Traveling with the McLemores, our web show, this summer, and we really want to focus on luxury travel for families, and also on luxury travel for less. So we'll be showing people, if you want to travel high-end, super bougie, but you don't have that budget, here are some destinations where your dollar goes so far that you can have that experience. But that means that when we're traveling to those places, Jamie, we've got to have our photo shoots. That means that if we're talking about travel, I need to be photographed with kids. I need to be photographed in the airport. So we're always thinking of, when do we need to book our next shoot? Right now, we do between 6 and 8 shoots a year. And we love it. I don't love being in front of the camera in the moment, but I loosen up and I get there. Don't tell anyone, but sometimes I have a shot, not while I'm pregnant, but when I'm not pregnant, I have a shot. And
it's okay.
Up a little. Tequila tells me where to pose.
I adore you.
It makes me feel a little sexy, And one thing that also, like, I wanted to share is that you'll get a lot of, if you're a photographer, you'll get a lot of clients that don't feel like they're camera worthy, and it breaks my heart, because everybody is camera worthy. There is not a look, there's not a skin tone, there's not a hair color, there's not a body shape that is not camera worthy, and your clients really have to be able to trust that you can bring the most beautiful out in them. And one of the services that my travel business provides is web design, and we always say to people, we can't start your website until you've had a photo shoot. We actually insist it of all of our clients that they have a shoot. And we have people shooting in the tiniest rural towns, like of 200 or 500 people, but you don't have to go to Paris to have your photo shoot. Grab some props, grab a suitcase, grab a travel magazine, grab your MacBook, find a local cafe, find a street, find a brick wall. Like, there are so many different ways they can do it. But I definitely encourage photographers in their portfolios to have a mixture of different kinds of people, because the world is made up of so many different kinds of people. And when you asked me before, Jamie, what do I look for in a photographer? And the first thing out of my mouth was that they can do my skin tone. I want to see in a folio that you have that. So if you have to do, if you have to do a couple of like freebie shoots, or, just practice shoots with different people of different skin tones and sizes, one of the things that I love to see is a lot of plus size people in portfolios, because you need to show people that you can photograph everybody. And the people who are most afraid to get in front of the camera are people who are anxious about their weight, their skin, or their smile. Those are the three things. I don't know what it is: weight, skin, and smile.
Smile's mine.
I have the two most giant gaps in my bottom teeth. I hate it. I wear a flipper for television, but I always I'm conscious of it. I always want to make sure my skin is good. I want to make sure that my body is posed the right way. And so to see those types of women or men who look like me in someone's folio gives me even more confidence that I can book with those people.
I love it. So this is kind of shifting a little bit, but I'm curious, because this is what's important to me, but because I don't really know you. I'm getting to know you right now. I'm wondering, how important is storytelling in images to you?
I think it's really important, because what I don't want to come away with is a bunch of images where I look exactly the same in all of my pictures. And it's kind of like just having one page in a book when you look exactly the same. And I did make that mistake when I show photographers my previous shoots, because I want to show them so that they can maintain brand consistency for me. What I don't want, I want the feeling to be there the same right across, so they can pull me out. But I don't want all of my pictures to be that same, like, because that's my thing. My thing is like shoulder down, front on, looking straight in the lens, big smile, all my crowns on display. Like, but it doesn't tell the story of my business. So the story comes out in the different ways that they set up the shot composition. It comes out in the props. The props are a huge thing for me. I will often have my passport out, a passport cover. I will have luggage. I'll have not tacky kind of use of props, but I do a lot of imagery also that some of my best pictures are the moments when I don't think I'm being photographed, but I'm laughing because I've got something in my nose, or, my husband's like, "You've got spinach." I'm like, that's the best moment that was captured there. So I kind of try to navigate the photographer to help me to get that story of me working and me helping people and me being supportive to people, because that's what I do in my business. But I also want them to capture this kind of candid style of just what happens, because what happens off camera is often just as funny and beautiful as what happens when I'm not trying. Well, when I'm trying.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Important. Yeah.
That's great. So where can people actually see your work and learn more about you? Like, I'm thinking I want to know travel trips, because like you said, 8 kids, plus we have a nanny. And so 9 of us travel together, and it's like insane. But I would love to hear, where can we find you? Where can we see your work?
2 reasons that you might want to check me out. One is if you want to see how I incorporate the professional photographs that I've had taken into my brand, so that if you're a photographer, you can get a good idea of the way that you can photograph entrepreneurs. So you can go to my Instagram, and it's Sandra Travel TV. All together, Sandra Travel TV on Instagram. And from there, of course, you can find websites and all kinds of things. But check it out if you want to see how I use my professional photographs in my brand. And also check it out if you just love travel, because you'll probably love traveling with the McLemores. We're going to teach people how to have that luxury experience without spending a ton. And we in our new show, we're really honest and candid about how do we afford to travel? How do we get the budget together? How do we go about booking it? How do we decide where we're going to go? How do we pull it all together? What the best times of year to travel? We profile some like crazy travel gadgets that we find, and just really share our behind the scenes experience, which makes it cool. So if you love travel or you like photographing people, then start there.
That's awesome. So I thought of a bonus question. Can I ask one more?
Yeah.
That's normally the end. But when you, since you have a marketing background in mind, I know a lot of people, especially photographers, aren't sure what messaging really resonates best for them on a landing page for clients like you who definitely see the value of personal brand photography and want somebody who gets it. What messaging really would resonate to you?
I am crystal clear on this, and I will give it to you. This is what
Woo.
you need to have on your homepage. You do not need to speak to the people. Your core message does not need to speak to people who love having their picture taken, love being photographed, happy and confident in front of the camera, because those people are going to book you anyway. You need to speak to the insecurities of the person that never gets photographed. So your landing page needs to come across, or your sales page or your homepage, as almost a one-on-one conversation. And I think that you can do that with really strong pull questions at the top. So are you uncomfortable in front of the camera? Are you awkward, but you know that you need to, put yourself out there? Have you been waiting to lose weight before you have your photo session? Are you concerned about this, and this? It almost sounds infomercially, right? You need to have those pull questions so that people can say, yeah, you know what? I am waiting till I lose weight, because how many times have we said, when I've dropped a few pounds, I'll have another shoot. You really need to speak to the insecurities of people, because what you want to do is make sure that you're solving a problem for them, not just offering a service to them. And when you can show people that you're solving that problem of helping them to overcome those insecurities, ensuring that it is going to be a comfortable experience. Having a photo shoot for some people is highly traumatic. People have walked away with PTSD from photo shoots, because it really, nothing says, look at my insecure body shape, much like someone looking at it through a lens and capturing it in a way that there's no lying. I remember one time a photographer telling me, saying, at the time I was 140 pounds heavier. I lost a ton of weight recently, but
Congratulations.
he said, thank you. He said to me, I was a size 22 at the time, and I went all the way down to an 8. And he said to me, I know you have a beautiful size 22 figure under that dress, so don't think that you're trying to show yourself as a size 8. Don't worry about what the rest of the world is trying to figure out, because we can all see that you have those curves, those curves, those curves, and those curves. What I want you to do is just to really let go of all of that and let me photograph you for who you are. And I will never forget that, because I always used to try and pick out these outfits that made me look slimmer or made me less this, or I had different things. But at the end of the day, am I really fooling anyone? Everybody knew that I was a size 22 when I walked in the door. That's not why they liked or disliked me. It had nothing to do with it. So I think that on your homepage and on your core messaging and your marketing, you really need to speak to the people who are uncomfortable doing it. But the scarcity that you need to put in there is that they have to build that know, like, and trust factor. Nobody buys a house from a real estate agent that they don't trust. Nobody buys a car from a car salesman that they don't trust. If you're asking people for hundreds or thousands of dollars, you're asking people to trust you. So you can use that, you can reverse psychology, flip that out somehow, and make it that you understand that these people run a business. Hey, you run a business. You don't want to leave money on the table, but people are not going to spend with you unless they know, like, and trust you. So we need to tell a story and create a series of photographs that are going to help people to know, like, and trust you. And for that, you have to trust me. Trust me that I'm going to help to bring out the most amazing bits of you. Ask people in their booking process or in their consult process, what are the things about you that you love? I love my skin. I love my hair, and I love my smile. I love how they photograph, and I like my legs. I can give you a longer list of things that I don't like, but don't focus on the things that people don't like. Focus on the things that they do like. Because if I know that I have a photographer, Jamie, on my side, who knows that I love my smile, my skin, my hair, and my legs, if I know that my photographer truly gets that, I know they're going to do me proud. So I think, summary, focus on their insecurities, focus on the problem that you're solving, which is them building the know, like, and trust factor, and you will immediately win people over that. But you have to be able to prove your work. You got to then have your folio to show it off. I would also encourage you to take the photographs that you take of your entrepreneurial clients, and with their permission, to do some mock-ups. So do a mock-up of a homepage of a website, do a mock-up of a Facebook cover, because sometimes it's hard for other non-marketing entrepreneurs like me to be able to take that photograph you give them and imagine how they could use that. So I use my own marketing for my clients, my travel agent and travel brand clients, and I show them this one picture of me, look at it. And then I say, now look at all the different places that I put it. On a mug, on a banner, on a this, and then they're like, oh, wow, I can really see that. The front of my DL flyer, the bio of my brochure, just the headshot for my social media icon. So I think you have to also take that next step and show people how they can use the photographs.
I love it. Thank you so much. That's super valuable. And I know people are going to love this. So, all right, Sandra, any last things you wanted to share? Anything else you want to send them to, or are we good?
No, we're good. I would say just if you don't know entrepreneurs, don't try to photograph them. Go out and meet some, greet some, talk to them, get to know them and find out what their needs are. They're not hard to find because they're usually trying to sell you something. But
it's so true.
It's so true. But find a group of entrepreneurs, find a local meetup, find a Facebook group, and don't try to sell them anything. Just really listen to them and find out what it is that their insecurities are, find out what it is that they need, and really be that piece of the solution for their business. Because when you come from a place of service, your blessings will always follow.
This is such a gift, Sandra. Thank you so much for your time, and you have an absolutely phenomenal day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.